Hello and welcome to episode 6 of Cover to Cover, the series where I go on the search to find the best indie bookshop in the UK. Today's episode is a bit of a special one and a little bit of a sad one because it is the final episode of Cover to Cover, not just the final episode of this season, of the second season, but just generally the final episode of Cover to Cover. With a slight caveat that I'll get into in a minute, I have absolutely loved filming this series so much, and I can't thank everybody enough who has supported and watched this series and made it possible for me to keep making these videos. Of course, a massive thank you to National Book Tokens, who have been a sponsor of this series since season 1. It's been great to be able to go to visit all these bookshops. The caveat to this being the final episode is that I do intend to make random one-off cover-to-cover episodes. I would like to do a couple of tours in specific towns and cities. I would like to keep this going in some way or another occasionally, but it's not going to be running like it has been. It's not going to be quite the same format, and it's not going to be this every other month format that I have been doing. So it's just going to change, basically. The reason for that is pretty much because I drive and travel to get to all of these bookshops, and I am kind of running out of ones in my immediate area to do that with, and it's just becoming unrealistic that I'm able to make the journeys that I need to go further afield to go to the bookshops for this series. That is literally it. I really enjoyed filming this series, and this is why I'm saying that there will still be random little episodes here and there, because when I am able to do those journeys, I will do them, and I will of course take you along with me and celebrate more indies, because that is what this is about, celebrating independent bookshops, and it's been a great journey doing that. And a really nice way to round off this series is by visiting the first bookshop that I ever visited for a cover-to-cover episode, which is the Blue Bear Bookshop. So the reason I'm going back to this bookshop is because it's actually moved location, so it's kind of perfect timing because it's still the same bookshop but a completely different location, so I can take you on a whole new tour of it. I went to Farnham to film my first ever episode of Cover to Cover at the start of last year. I went to Blue Bear Bookshop. It was so beautiful and so cozy, and I just wanted to stay there for ages. Now they have moved to Hook, so I'm going to be visiting there today. I am very excited. The photos look super cozy. I think they only opened there literally last month, so it's really fresh to that location, and I just thought it was a nice way to round off what has been such a lovely series. It's so weird saying goodbye to this series because it's been such a regular staple in my content and something that I always plan and think about, and it's going to be very weird not to do that. But yeah, it's going to be strange, but I'm so glad that I've been able to do this, and I'm so glad I've been able to bring you guys along with me on tours of all of these different bookshops. This series is of course sponsored by National Book Tokens. Thank you so much, National Book Tokens, for sponsoring this whole series and making this all possible. You have been the dream sponsor. National Book Tokens can be spent in bookshops across the UK and Ireland, from WH Smith to Waterstones. They can also be spent in hundreds of indies across the country as well, including Blue Bear Bookshop. National Book Tokens have sent me through a festive National Book Tokens gift card to bring with me today. I have no idea what kind of books I want to leave today with. Maybe something slightly Christmassy. I don't really have many Christmas books on my TBR that I haven't read at the moment, so maybe something for the festive season. I'm not really sure, but I am very excited to get a bookseller recommendation and to have a look around the new Blue Bear Bookshop. I'm so glad I chose to come back to the Blue Bear Bookshop for the last episode of this series, and seeing how well it has settled into its new home was so lovely. This bookshop is quirky and eclectic, with no limit on the amount of little details and fun items scattered around its shelves. It has beautiful gifted items as well as books, including ceramics, bookends and stationery. The story behind this bookshop is also so lovely. The owner created it to be closer to her autistic son whilst he was at university, to be able to support him. The decor, the music, the layout, it's all inspired by her son, and the shop regularly works with young people with autism to support them. The shop layout is spread across 3 different rooms with different genres in each. The main space is fiction, children's, poetry and classics, and then there's a YA and sci-fi fantasy room, and the back room is non-fiction with a huge table space and an outdoor area that can host events. This space is so lovely and open with lots of seating throughout, and they're constantly working on it, shaping the outdoor space to be somewhere they can really host fantastic events once the weather is better. The atmosphere is incredibly calming and welcoming, with soft music playing throughout the shop and a warm glow from the lights. It feels like somewhere you could stay for hours, which I definitely did. I love all the little details too, which I just think add perfectly to the overall vibe. The book selection was well broken up into genres, which made it really easy to just keep browsing. There were lots of books I'd never heard of before, which I think is always fun when you're visiting an indie bookshop. You get really different selections selection of books, including hardback editions that I'd not found anywhere else. I was recommended a book immediately that was a dark and twisty fantasy, so the bookseller recommendations were of course on point, and the booksellers were happy to chat to me about other book recommendations they'd enjoyed this year as I browsed. This was the perfect bookshop to end this series on, wholesome, welcoming, and cozy. I come bearing books. I am back from the Blue Bear Bookshop. I said this was in Hook. It's actually in a small town called Hartley Whitney, which I had never visited before, but it was a really, really beautiful high street with loads of indie shops. It was really, really nice, and just it felt like the perfect spot for this bookshop. The new location was just absolutely stunning, as you'll have seen. But I bought some books, so I'm going to show you what I got. I'm trying to be a bit more intentional with books that I buy at the moment, and just generally anything that I bring into my home. So I only bought 2 books, which I'm kind of proud of myself for doing. One of them is a signed hardback edition that I am very excited about, and the other one is a paperback that's the book I'm going to be reading for this vlog. The hardback is Matt Haig's The Impossible Life, and look at those sprayed edges. I've not seen this edition before, so I'm quite excited that they had this. I did actually just DNF a Matt Haig book, however I've really enjoyed some other ones, so I'm hoping that this leans into one of the ones that I will enjoy. Jodie Pickett on the back has said, love this man's books. Stephen Fry said Matt Haig is astounding. I mean, this sounds good. It's got the travel aspect to it, so I shall read you the blurb. Also, a moment for these end pages because they're very cool. What looks like magic is simply a part of life we don't understand yet. When retired maths teacher Grace is left a rundown house on a Mediterranean island by a long-lost friend, curiosity gets the better of her. She arrives in Ibiza with a one-way ticket, no guidebook, and no plan. Among the rugged hills and golden beaches of the Balearics, Grace searches for answers about her friend's life and how it ended. What she uncovers is stranger than she could have dreamed, but to dive into this impossible truth, Grace must first come to terms with her past. Filled with wonder and wild adventure, this is a story of hope and the life-changing power of a new beginning. Look, we know I love a book with this kind of theme to it, the new beginning, the life-changing kind of vibe. I read a lot of books like this when I was on holiday recently, and I really, really enjoyed them, so I'm hoping this is one I like as well. The bookseller recommendation is Verge by Nadia Atir. Look at that cover. This is the book that I'm going to be reading in this vlog, so I shall read you the blurb for this one. Rowena has always been a rebel, foul-mouthed, light-fingered, and last to leave a party. Unfortunately, she's also cursed, marked by death since birth. When Rowena's boyfriend and father die in quick succession, her mother sends her north to her gran, the one healer strong enough to lift the curse before her 18th birthday. Halim is proud, independent, and just a few payments away from owning his truck. Unfortunately, his last cargo is Rowena. Every gun-patrolled hard county border that they cross poses a threat to his future, as do Rowena's increasing dark visions. Their journey takes them across a disunited kingdom where folk marry the old way of spells and superstition with reawakened prejudice. Can Rowena and Halim overcome their differences and forge an alliance in order to survive? I started this yesterday. It's quite addictive in the writing style. It's very short chapters, so it just keeps you going. The setting's interesting because it kind of reads initially like it's old world folklorish times, but it actually isn't. It's in a contemporary setting with technology and things, so it's kind of like a merge up of the two. So I'm quite intrigued to see how this one goes. So this is the book that I'm going to be reading this vlog, and I will let you know my thoughts when I'm finished. It is so cold at the moment. I am living under my heated blanket, but hello, I have finished Verge by Nadia Atir. I've given this a 3.5 out of 5 stars. I really liked the folklore elements to this. I would like to know if anyone else does this. Do you ever get something in your head that something is set in a specific place or in a specific time, even though you know that's not correct, and you can't get it out of your head when reading a book? So for example, if you know that a book is set in America, but you keep envisaging maybe that it's set in England or like specifically in London or something, and you know that's not correct, because for this is kind of a cross between a modern world and a folkloric ye olde times kind of world. And I kept thinking that it was set in the past, in the ye olde times, which is a very specific time period. But it's not. It's set in the modern world. There's technology, there is phones, there is talk of modern world things. But because so much of the lore and the culture in this book as well is based within the folklore lore, it just threw me a little bit, and sometimes I was reading it and I was like, hang on, where am I? And I couldn't quite see parts of that in my brain, but that was very much a me problem. But does anyone else do that? Because it was so silly, like I just kept forgetting even though I know it was very clear, like they were literally talking about using their phones and stuff. Anyway, that is a me problem. We're following Rowena and Halim in this as they slowly go on this journey together and get to know each other a little bit and start to care about each other's outcomes. Rowena is being taken to her grandma's, where she's apparently going to be cured of this curse. Now, at some point in this book, they talk about Red Riding Hood and that story, and it made me think, oh, is this kind of a little bit loosely a Red Riding Hood-esque story with the fact that she's being taken on this journey to her grandma, and is the curse kind of a little bit of the wolf element, maybe? I don't know. I have no idea if that's correct or not, but I suddenly started thinking about it a little bit differently once that was said, and I thought that that worked kind of interestingly, and I like the way that plot went and what it was all leading towards, is all I will say without any spoilers. But I liked it. I think it had a good atmosphere. I liked the characters. I liked getting to know them a little bit more and seeing them getting to know each other and seeing them soften towards each other as well. Also, the cover. I keep looking more and more at it, and it's there's kind of a face on the front of it, but every time I look at it, I see more and more. I find the cover really interesting. So I had a good time with this. This was a good recommendation. If you like folkloric fantasy, I definitely think you should give this a go. So this is it. That was the final cover to cover episode. It feels so final. It's so weird to say goodbye to this series. I am so grateful for all of the independent bookshops that I've been able to visit. Thank you so much to anybody who has watched and supported this series. It means so much to me, and seeing it grow over the last 2 years has been really, really special. And of course, a massive thank you to our series sponsor, National Book Tokens. National Book Tokens, just absolute dream sponsor for this series. I couldn't have had a better sponsor, so thank you so much, National Book Tokens, for sponsoring Cover to Cover. And of course, you can find out all the details you need about National Book Tokens linked down below. They're just fantastic. If you have any reader in your life, buy them a National Book Tokens gift card for Christmas, for any occasion. They're great, and I love them to bits. Thank you so much for sponsoring this series, National Book Tokens. Thank you to everybody who has been here this whole time, or just for this episode, however long you've been watching this series. If you want other content from me, I do vlogs, recommendations, lots of different things, and I will still be doing occasional cover to cover videos. I will still be going to independent bookshops and of course taking you along with me, because I love doing it. I love being able to do this. It's just that being able to film a specific dedicated cover to cover video every few months has become less and less feasible the more bookshops I go to that are closer to me. It's requiring a lot more travel at the moment, and that just isn't something that I think I'm going to be able to keep up with every other month, but it is certainly something that I will do for future videos. So there will be more. It will just be a very different format and different type of video to what this series has been. I got so carried away thanking everyone and ending the video that I forgot to actually thank Blue Bear Bookshop. So thank you so much, Blue Bear Bookshop, for having me. It was really special to be able to end this series the same way that it started. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you've enjoyed it. Thank you so much for all your support. I will see you in the next one.